Right, team, what we're going to be going over here is how to actually amplify your energy. In this training, you're going to understand not only how to wake up and be cooking on gas from as soon as you get up out of the morning, but also not feel like you're reactive from a position of your decision making and your actions that you're taking. And lastly, how to not feel like a bag of shite after 3 or 4 hours and needing just to live off coffee. That's usually one of the biggest problems that I see. So just to remember is that when it comes down to your morning routine, you can't outwork your physiology. People are asking for like all sorts of jazzy new ways of starting your morning. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go the opposite. How to actually get your mind and body online as fast as you possibly can. Think of it as turning the lights on in the factory. That's what we're going to try and do. You can't start the factory with the lights off. Think of it that way. So first thing we need to think about here, I'll do it in blue because it's poignant. We need to hydrate. Now what most people do is they think they just chop a glass of water. Now think about water. Is it's got no sodium in it, which means it can't be absorbed very well. You need electrolytes. If you have electrolytes and water, what you should be having is around 500 milliliters to 750 milliliters of water, and then 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of electrolytes. If you're really sweaty, 1,000. If you're not, 500 milligrams will do. That's going to allow your body to start rehydrating from the night before. You don't understand that when you're in bed, you lose water and hydration very quickly because you're breathing and because you're not consuming any liquid. So you want to get your brain online again. Okay, hydration is key for absolutely every chemical reaction in the body. So first things first is that. Next thing is we're going to look at you having, which again, I love it, you love it, and it's actually having a coffee or caffeine. If you're having Monster first thing in the morning, I judge you big time. No, unless it's White Monster. Point being, caffeine is obviously going to help you stimulate and get your brain online. What most people do is they think they'll get up, they'll have a coffee first, and they'll wonder why running have to run to the bathroom is like a nuclear explosion. Two, they suddenly get a heart pump. It's literally what it's like is getting into a cold car and pressing the accelerator straight away. By doing that, you can run your engine that way, but it's not going to last very long. And also, you're not optimized to do a long journey. Your performance is the long journey. If you hydrate and then you caffeinate, you have this steady increase in focus. Obviously, you increase things like cortisol and adrenaline in your epinephrine and that kind of stuff. This is where you're going to start to find hyper focus because you've given yourself time to get online. That is massively important. So obviously we hydrate and then we caffeinate. Now, just to be clear, what I do personally with my customers, people that I work with, is I tell everybody to take their supplements with their morning stack. Why? Whenever you're doing behaviors, you want to habit stack them. It's all James Clear stuff. When you habit stack, it means you put it on with a behavior. It's like if you put your supplements next to your toothbrush, 99% of you, I hope all of you clean your teeth. If you clean your teeth, you can then take your supplements. You've stacked it with a habit. Me personally, I have my water, my electrolytes, and my supplements all in one go. I then have my coffee. Okay, I have my coffee. Just to be clear on the caffeine side of things, you want to wait an hour for this to happen. I'll explain this afterwards. Between 30 minutes and an hour before you can have coffee, because it allows everything to turn on and get ready to rock and roll. Okay, so after we've had the supplements thing, whatever they are for you, again, I'm a sport nutritionist. I can obviously advise what I personally take, but please consult somebody for your own information. I have a multivitamin. I have omega-3, vitamin D. I have CoQ10. I have vitamin C. I have creatine monohydrate, and in the evenings I have magnesium glycinate. That's my supplement stack. Again, please make it personal to you. Next one we have is no phone for 30 mins minimum. Everyone's looking at me like, wait, what are you fucking on about? Absolutely not. Reason why? When you're asleep, you're in alpha brainwaves. These are creative, restorative. They're calm, relaxed. They're for parasympathetic. They're for calm and rested brain activity. When you're at work, you're in beta. Now, when you're alpha is very close to, you hear ones like delta and that kind of thing. We're not going to go through that. That talks about flow state and that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that afterwards. But with beta, that means focus. If you wake up in the morning and you check your phone first thing and you've got your boss being a weapon, or you've got someone sending you a message that you have to deal with straight away that's important, you're asking a calm and creative brain to make high conscious decisions and focus. Visual's not going to match the audio with doing that. You're going to make poor decisions, you're going to struggle, and also what happens is you then become reactive because it's like driving with a handbrake on. So what happens is you suddenly jump out, you hit your phone, and then you decide, hang on a minute, I need to make these decisions. And then what do you do? Because you've got brain fog and you're struggling to make them about 8 a.m., you go coffee, you go coffee, you go coffee, because what you haven't done is set your brain up to be in the right state to make those decisions. Okay? Name of the game for us here is for us to think about it a different way. Is no 30 minutes for your phone means that you have an opportunity for you to not only get your brain online, hydrate, caffeinate, and do something. Everyone who's watching this is about 35 plus. You should be doing some mobility and moving around. That should be your process. It also gives you time for you. It allows your brain to get online, because then when you do hit your phone, you're going to be calm, focused, and make better decisions at a faster rate. Okay? As just mentioned, next one is move. That is sunlight. Yes, I'm writing this in the UK, and actually, to be fair, Manchester's sunlight doesn't usually have sunlight. It's usually absolutely banging it with rain. You can change you want something that's really high in lumens, they're called. It's the intensity of light. You can change your light bulbs. I've got an Elgato panel light. I can just flash that on. I put that in my eyes. You can buy those funky glasses that I've got on. There's all sorts of ways of getting better lighting, or do what I do, just go outside even if it's raining. The quicker you can get that in your eye, the quicker you're going to reset your cortisol rhythm, the more opportunity you're going to have to actually bring yourself online into that beta state and actually make sure that you're getting that in. So you need to get that in. Again, if you've got a dog, it means you actually get it done. And then last thing before to amplify your energy is task management. You can only cognitively take on a certain amount of tasks per day. And in that time frame, there's only some things that are going to push the needle. I choose 3. 3 things that I know I need to get done in that day. Why? Because it's not too many. It's the Goldilocks analogy. Not too hot, not too cold, not too many, not too little. It also means that I then don't have an expectation on myself to be a busy fool doing a million things poorly. 3 key tasks that I need to execute at certain times of the day that are plugged into my diary. That is, for me, an epic way, not just start your morning, but more from a physiological standpoint, going to give you the key to your car back from that. And a little caveat, just so I didn't go over that afterwards before. In that piece of the puzzle, when you wake, you may have seen so many people say to you that that this is the time when you can do your hardest piece of work. The reason why that's true is because we're an alpha and we're going to beta. So we're going from calm to focus. This bit here is where you can find delta, which is where you're going to be looking at the high focus brainwaves. This is where you can enter into flow state a lot quicker. So if you are that person, I've got a young child, so I can't do this. What I do, if you have got the opportunity to get up, hydrate, get your head in the game, straight onto whatever the hardest task you've got there, because you have the most opportunity, the most amount of bandwidth, and your battery isn't drained. This is massively helpful for you compared to leaving your hardest task to the end of the day when you've got no energy. So think about it that way. So from a brain cognition standpoint, the hardest task in the morning works because of your brainwave activity. Vice versa, from a position of you executing things, you've won a massive task of the day. So anyway, that's a little add-on, but that's what I would personally do. If you've got a young baby who gets up at 5 a.m., that is not going to happen. I'm reading, what's it called? Old MacDonald, and that in the morning currently right now. So my focus time is with my boy in the morning. But anyway, I digress. That's what I've got to do. I hope it's helpful. If you do struggle with any of this, let me know. I'd like to know in the comments of how you've got on with it. And like I said, this is an absolute game changer for your energy, your productivity, and actually your ability to operate at a high frequency as fast as you possibly can as soon as you get up.